guys, you see this company? It was $4 billion a few months ago. Now, it is $782 million market cap. And if my hunch is correct, I'm about to wipe out that $782 million with just $10,000. My name is Jude, and I am the owner and operator of a website called marketmakerfraud.com. You see, for 2 years now, I've been involved with the SEC, trying to get the SEC to investigate market makers led by Citadel Securities, GTS Securities, Goldman Sachs, and their fraudulent manipulation of stocks that they stocked to my portfolio. I have 2 complaints actually at the SEC, and I'm going to put a link to those complaint numbers so that people will see. One of them actually, let me see, one of them is and if you look at this, see this? You can see this right here? That's me. So you can see the file numbers. You can see these file numbers. You can see the SEC file numbers. 101314490. I don't have my glasses. And 011711513. These are complaints that I sent to the SEC regarding the fraudulent activities of market makers who formed a gang just to stalk me. I eventually set up a website called marketmakerfraud.com to track it. These criminals are following me and manipulating every stock that I bought. And there, if you look at this, this is this is Lost Town Motors. I mean, there were so many stories out there about Lost Town Motors from last year. That was when it was about $30 a share. And so that was when it was, hold on, let me take this off. That was when it was about $30 a share. And these criminals continued following the stock, manipulating the stock, saying that they were never going to launch their vehicle and all this stuff. Guess what? Eventually that vehicle launched, and not only did Endurance launched and was voted a finalist truck for the 2023 North American Truck of the Year award. Yes, the same Lost Town Motors. I'm not kidding. You guys can Google this. Lost Town Motors that market makers sponsored criminals to say everything on earth about. They eventually have this truck out, Endurance, and journalists, 50 journalists voted it from the lowest level up to the finalist. This vehicle was a finalist with a GM truck and the Ford F-150 Lightning EV. 3 of them in the entire North America. Yes, eventually Ford Lightning won. Everybody knew Ford Lightning was going to win with all the money and with all the support. Biden actually went there and drove it and called it a sucker. They give money to virtually all the companies that are involved in this. They're advertising them. So everybody knew that. But guess what? That truck came out, and the truck has actually been delivered. Some of them have been delivered to customers. But guess what? From the time the truck came out, these criminals continued to manipulate the stock. And nobody knows why. Except if you follow me at Igbo Man, IGBO_man at Twitter. Yes, Igbo, just IGBO_man in Twitter. Go there now and see all the posts I have about why Lost Town Motors has been the subject of criminal manipulation by a gang of market insiders led by Citadel Securities, GTA Securities, and Goldman Sachs. As of today, as I'm talking to you, you can see the time when they can no longer manipulate it, they just sit on the stock. As of today, there is about 44 million shares shorted on this. These criminals took this stock down to 87 cents. They put the blame on Bonds, the former CEO. But, what we are learning was that actually the former CEO pledged the stock to one of these criminals. And that particular one shorted the stock and took it down there, and then essentially got that 5 million shares out from the CEO. And that was about 2 or 3 weeks ago. But guess what? The ultimate reason for selling the stock was and is the expose that I have on marketmakerfraud.com. Go there, marketmakerfraud.com, or at IGBO_man in Twitter. So they have been attacking this stock. They have been attacking another one called AHT, Ashford Hospitality Trust. Because of me, Ashford Hospitality Trust currently trades around $6, down from $70. And because of me, look at this Mpln Corporation, which is the one that I titled this post about. You can see where it is now. Look at the volume. Let me show you guys the volume. You see this? 238,000 shares. This is a stock. Before I started buying this company, the stock traded in 7 to 8 million volume. Now market makers, because they stalk me, everything I buy, they jump in and start selling it. They started selling the stock. I think I started buying it around $7. They started selling it. They sold it down to $6. And at $6, I stopped buying the stock itself and I started buying the options. Remember, the reason why they sell this is not because I buy a whole lot. I am not a bank like Goldman Sachs or Bank of America Securities or all the other criminals that parade as market makers and specialists and market participants in these stocks. No, I am not. I basically buy stocks. And because these criminals have been following me in social media, they formed their gang, from Yahoo board to iHub to Stock Tweets. And eventually I moved them over to Twitter. And they still followed me. But then also we are able to match my trades with who I am, and then track my stocks. As soon as I buy anything, they jump in and start selling it. So when this particular company came down to $6, I stopped buying the stock and I started throwing in pennies to buy the options just to keep them working. And it worked. First, they pushed the stock down from $6 to $5 because I was buying the $5 calls. And so they pushed it down to $5. Guess what? I had like less than 20 of the $5 calls. Really nothing to me. But they brought it down there because of me. And after they brought it to $5, I started buying the $4. I believe it was the $4 stock, $4 options. They started bringing it down to $4. In order to help that, Goldman Sachs had to review their analysis of the stock. These guys had the stock at around $12 or something before. They quickly brought it down to around $5, just to be able to give the cover for the crime and the manipulation to continue. And so I jumped in, and when they brought it closer to $4, I lowered my options and I started buying the $3 calls. They started bringing it down to $3. And sometime late last year, 2022, Goldman had to review the analysis again and brought in a price target of $2.76 to the stock in order to be able to get it under $3, below my $3 call options. I waited. They brought it down under 3, and I started buying the $2 calls. And so Goldman, I think it was now Citibank, now came in and established a price target of Citi Securities. Now came in and established a price target on the stock of $2. I waited. They came to closer to 2. I bought some at $2, and then they moved the stock down under $2 to $1.90. Then I waited. It came to $1.80, and then I jumped in. I bought a few. I think I bought like 8 or so of the. I started buying the $1 call, and so they started pushing it down to $1. They came down. The first came to 160. Initially, I said, okay, I jumped in. I started buying the shares themselves around 160. I think at least one executive also jumped in and bought some shares at, I believe, around 150 or something. There was a day that this particular stock, I can't, if you guys look in here, you probably see the day they sold 65, they exchanged 65 million of the shares. That was sometime last year. Volume was about 65 million. That was the day I started drawing them closer to $1. Around, let me see, on December 14th, volume was 15 million. So that have been early December. Must have been early December. Was it? Okay, apparently that was 6.5 million. That must have been. It can be December. I think that should be this date, that December 14th, that they sold about 15 million shares. December 14th. Yeah, that should be it right here. See that? On December 14th, 15.4 million shares exchange were actually just essentially manipulated, manipulated the volume by that much, just to get at me, because on that particular date I increased and I started buying more and more of these shares. And so these criminals continued I'm going to put anyway. And so these criminals continued selling this stock. They continued selling the stock, and I essentially waited. I concentrated my effort on Lost Town Motors, because this is the one that we're knocking down. And I bought a bunch of this, and then I turned around and decided to start adding to this. So I started buying the calls. And these are the calls that will be coming due, the $1 calls that are due in July 2023. I started buying those. I bought several of them. I bought over 100 of those, and I kept buying, and I was buying at this price that you're looking at right here, 23 cents premium. I was paying 23 cents to buy the calls. I paid, I think the most I paid was about 33 cents, but I accumulated about 13,000 of those, 130, which translates to about 13,000 shares. 13,000 shares. And so, because of those calls, guys, these criminals now essentially sit on these shares. You can see what is going on. This is, you see the volume. You saw the historical volume. You can check the historical volume on this stock. So these criminals essentially sit on this stock right now, hoping and praying that the company gets destroyed because of these calls. And guess what? The good news is they own a lot of it. The institutions own about 91% of this. And so I am using less than $5,000 actually. And if you factor in every and all losses I've had in this stock, about less than $10,000. I am using that $10,000 to destroy $4 billion, assuming we're able to. Unfortunately, the company is generating over 300 million of free cash flow every quarter. So the company is not anywhere near bankruptcy. But assuming that comes to the case, I will have used $10,000 to destroy $4 billion of market value. That is what the stock market has become. A place where criminals, people that believe that they own the world, get recruited into these fraudulent entities, Citadel Securities. So guys, throughout the day, after I made the initial video, actually I just did that snap, the preceding video to this. I just did a snap just within 20 minutes to kind of show you guys how brazen these criminals parading as market makers are in this business. They don't care anymore. You know, they don't care anymore. You have Citadel Securities reporting all those $16 billion profit. And guess what? They can afford to buy off anybody. Regulators name them. And so you have a circle of corruption and crimes in what we know as the stock market. Criminals all over the place. Susquehanna Securities, Citadel Securities, Goldman Sachs, all the worst is coordination. Remember the key, coordination, which is the central word that SEC is losing. Not a single entity on earth can be able to manipulate the stock market unless they get others to work together. Because guess what? It doesn't matter how much you have. Goldman Sachs brings out all the money they have and put it shorting stocks. Well, another company will be able to be buying, right? But where everybody goes on the same route and then send codes to each other, such as the codes that I show you guys in here, that they send to each other to manipulate multi-plan corporation, to manipulate Lost Town Motors. With all those codes, nobody buys. Everybody just puts in the short, and nobody tries to buy because you will be breaking the mafia code. And so Citadel shorts, Goldman Sachs shorts, and these criminals shorted way back. I know very well when Citadel disclosed that they shorted right at $11 a share. Today, they've made 1,000% on those shorts. Goldman Sachs filed the same thing. Morgan Stanley did the same thing. But Morgan Stanley is also a shareholder. So, if they shorted, they actually shorted only to be able to provide cover for themselves. But here, you have naked, you just have Citadel, Goldman Sachs, and these other criminals just borrowing the shares, or not borrowing the shares, and just shorting and failing to deliver. And right now, for instance, in Ride, we have 44 million shares that are short. They essentially had to run CEO Bonds out. I'm sure that Bonds probably placed 5 million of his shares. They took it down so that they can get the 5 million from him for pennies, and they took it back up. Well, he doesn't care because he didn't pay a dime for the shares. And so these criminals continued all day to manipulate. Let me show you guys what is going on here. Just take a look at this. Let me pull this up. This was the various stages, at various stages of the day. You know, this is, if you look at this, you see this, the stock is there. I think this was when they did that takedown. Yes, 319. You see that? See the time? 3:19 p.m. 1/24/2023. That was when they did that push down from 127 to 122 to be able to tally it with Mpln Corporation. I'm going to take this off. If I let me take this off, and then I'll show you guys the next one. This one is don't forget, this is Lost Town Motors, and the time is 3:19, right? Let's see the next one. This is a Mpln Corporation. You see that? 123. And look, let's see the time on that. See that? 3:20. This is 3:20, right? 3:20 p.m. Remember the Lost Town models I did? I was able to capture that at 1:19. This is that now. Just the next minute I captured this, and it's not over. You know, let's see this one. See this? This is Lost Town Mpln Corporation at 1:22, and the time is, look, 3:22 p.m. You can see that right there, right? Now let's go down. Let's go down. See, Lost Town Motors. What is it? Comes up. See that? Exactly the same thing. And look at the time. 1:24 p.m. Can see that? And then let's see another one. This is where they now started merging both of them. You know, I actually did this to be able to get this nice picture right there. See that? Let's go. This is now what? This is Lost Town Motors. This is Mpln Corporation. And look at the time. This time should be okay. I cut off the time here because I brought half of the thing over from this other side of the video, but we can actually see the time by going closer to the video. You can see the time right there. See that? This is 3:31 p.m. Is it? Yes. 3:31 p.m. And then you can see this one too. 3:29 p.m. Okay, so it's actually 3:29 p.m. That's basically what you see. You know, when they brought the two stocks together, merged the two stocks together. And this is only something that you can see in banana republics and not in the United States. But these are happening in the United States in spite of my complaints about these crimes to the SEC. We have more. This is when was this? Let me see. When was this? This is this is actually when the market closed. Let me pull this one up because I think this one is yep. See this one? You can see the time, 3:35 p.m. You see that? 3:35 p.m. They merged it at 1:22. This is the Lost Town Motors. Now look at this. Look at this is Mpln Corporation. You can see that 3:42. They brought it down. They brought both of them down, and then they kept both of them before I now decided to take the pictures. Yes, yes, that is what we're dealing with. That is what we're dealing with, guys. So we have criminals essentially in the system manipulating shares under SEC watch. Thank you again. So guys, this is Lost Town Motors. You see where it closed? $1.24. See that? See the time now? You can see where it closed today at $1.24. You can see, let me do an insight. You can see the after hours, they put it at $1.23 minus 1 cent. Now look at the Mpln Corporation. You see where they closed it, $1.24, which is essentially where it closed yesterday. And then look at, you can see the after hours. They put it at they shelved off a penny there to put it at $1.23. The same thing as Lost Town Motors. Let me actually move this closer so you guys can see that. I'm trying to move this a little closer. Okay, so you can see we can just go on a roll from Lost Time Motors to Mpln Corporation. You can see that. You can see that. I opened two browsers as well for you to be able to do this. You can see that. You can see that. This is after hours right now. This is the Lost Time Motors. This is where we are. So this is exactly what happened today. And today is, you see today, so that after I made a series of tweets trying to continue what I'm doing, telling authorities, telling everybody the criminal activities of Goldman Sachs, Citadel Securities, GTA Securities, and the market makers in these stocks, the criminals parading as market makers in these stocks. They essentially decided to further expose themselves by they coordinated. You look at this is the volume on the Lost Time Motors. It was about 1.5 million. They were struggling to get to that number by the time it was I think it was around 3:15 p.m., just about 45 minutes to the market closing. And so that was when the coordination began to be able to get this thing down to the same level as the Mpln Corporation. And oh yeah, look at the chart. You can see the chart. You can see the chart right here. You can see where they dumped it. See that? So they brought it down here actually to 122, and it sat here for a long time. You know, about 30 minutes or so. I believe it was just like 2 minutes before the market closed. You know, then they quickly, you can see the spike up right here. But all day you can see the trail. So you can see the trail all day as they. Let me actually remove this so it's very clear. Yep. So you can see the trail all day as they kept bringing it down. They will bring it down to 126, and then they will take it to 130, and then they will come down again, and then bring it down. I think it was when my initial tweets was around here, and then they brought it down to 127, and they stayed at this 127, 128, and then they decided, you know, to further expose themselves by now dropping it to the Mpln Corporation that was at 122. So they decided to bring this down to 122, and it stayed there until towards the end of the day, until like a few seconds before 4 p.m. That's when they did this 124 that you're looking at right here. But it was coordinated, timed perfectly, so that they will get the same result with Mpln Corporation. You can see the chart on Mpln Corporation. As a matter of fact, they actually have to push this up. You can see that they actually have to push this up because they kept it at 122 for virtually the entire trading day. And look at the volume. The volume was 276. So they bought about 700,000 shares to be able to bring it to 124. But guess what? It's also not unconnected. You know, for me, looking at the 124 number instead of their 122, then you can see that at 4 p.m. Mpln Corporation dropped this news. So don't forget that the leader of this criminal gang is Citadel Corporation, and Citadel is a DMM at NYSE, and the NYSE rules require corporations to give them advance notice of PR. So the PR that was going to come out was actually in the hands of Citadel. And that was why, ostensibly, that Citadel manipulated this with Goldman Sachs all day. And just before the market closed, they brought this up, you know, buying some 600,000 shares to cover some position. And then they quickly aligned the Lost Time Motors to the same 124. So guys, I'm just making this video to let you know what is going on. It's kind of more of a documentary for me, because I have so much data on these criminals that I just want to start sharing some of this stuff with the public, for them to know actually what is going on in this thing we call stock market, to know the level of criminality involved by all these criminals. Citadel just posted $16 billion of profit for 2022, when the rest of them, thank God, Goldman Sachs was almost wiped out. They got really nothing. They're slowing profits, and if you are not supposed to be a criminal and you decide to join criminal Chicago-based companies, you just will be wallowing in their crimes. It's not your field. It is for Citadel to continue the crime. It's in their DNA, but not others. GTS can continue with them. Susquehanna Securities can continue with them. These are all companies that are built on fraud and crimes. Several of them that is the investors have had to sue them. SEC have to go after them several times, but not Goldman Sachs, for goodness sake. But again, enough of the rant. These criminals owe me money, and I intend to get that money back from them. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye. Again, my name is Jude. Today is 1/24/2023, and the time now is about 6 p.m.